There are people who wake up on their birthday and feel nothing, not sadness, not bitterness, just a quiet recognition that the date has changed, followed by the same routine as any other morning. The same coffee, the same commute, the same pace. When someone mentions it, they smile briefly, say thank you, and move on. There's no anticipation beforehand, no relief afterward, just passage. These are the same people who sit through New Year's Eve without making resolutions, who watch others cry at graduations and feel only tired, who receive anniversary messages and respond politely, mechanically, as if acknowledging mail. The energy others bring to these moments, the weight, the meaning, the collective emotional charge, doesn't land for them. It never has, or it stopped landing a long time ago. It's not that they refuse to participate. They often do. They show up. They smile in photos. They cut the cake. They toast at midnight. But beneath the performance, there's a flatness, a kind of emotional absence that they've learned to navigate quietly without drawing attention to it. From the outside, it looks like apathy. From the inside, it feels like clarity. The emotional void, what others call celebration, these people experience as theater. There's a script. Excitement is expected, gratitude is required, joy should be visible, and they've learned their lines. But the feeling that's supposed to accompany those lines never arrives. It's not blocked. It's not buried. It's just not there. Special days come with a rhythm that everyone seems to follow instinctively. Anticipation builds, emotions peak, memories are made. But for some, that rhythm is silent. Birthdays feel identical to Tuesdays. Holidays feel like longer weekends. Anniversaries mark time but carry no charge. The meaning that others attach to these dates doesn't translate. It's as if they're watching a film without subtitles, understanding the plot but never feeling moved by it. And this absence isn't selective. It doesn't spare big moments or small ones. Promotions, weddings, milestone birthdays, events designed to feel monumental land with the same muted weight. There's no high, no catharsis, just a vague awareness that something significant is supposed to be happening, followed by the quiet realization that it isn't. Social misreading. They're told they're cold. People assume detachment. Family members search for explanations. Maybe it's depression, maybe it's trauma, maybe it's ingratitude. Friends stop inviting them to celebrations after a while, or they extend invitations with lowered expectations. I know you don't really care about this stuff, but becomes a familiar preface. Others insist that everyone loves their birthday deep down, that holidays bring people together, that milestones matter because they mark growth, transformation, proof of time's passage. These people must be lying to themselves. They must be protecting something. They must be afraid to hope. But none of that is quite right. The assumption is always that this flatness is reactive, that something happened to make them this way, that they were hurt on a birthday once, disappointed on a holiday, let down during a moment that was supposed to matter. And while that's true for some, it misses a deeper pattern. For others, the detachment didn't arrive as a wound. It was always there. The emotional architecture that others build around dates and rituals simply never formed. People call it cynicism. They call it defensiveness. They say these individuals are emotionally unavailable or checked out. They treat the neutrality as a problem to solve, a wall to break through, evidence of damage that needs repair. But the people experiencing it rarely feel damaged. They feel realistic. Psychological formation. So where does this come from? For some, it develops gradually. Special days once held promise. Birthdays meant connection. Holidays meant warmth. Anniversaries felt like shared meaning. But over time, the emotional return diminished. The effort required to perform joy to match the expected energy began to outweigh whatever genuine feeling was there. Disappointment didn't arrive as a single blow. It accumulated quietly, year after year, until expectation itself felt exhausting. These people learned that the calendar doesn't create closeness. That scheduled affection feels hollow. That ritualized celebration often substitutes for real intimacy, and the substitution never quite satisfies. The dates kept arriving, the performances kept repeating, but the emotional payoff stopped coming. Eventually, they stopped looking for it. For others, the pattern is different. Meaning was never tied to dates in the first place. Even in childhood, birthdays felt arbitrary. Holidays felt loud and performative. The idea that a specific day could carry more weight than any other never made emotional sense. These people value presence over occasion. They feel depth in conversation, not tradition. They connect through sincerity, not symbolism. Their emotional world operates on a different frequency, not a damaged one, just different. 2 psychological pathways. Path 1, expectation burnout. There are those who once believed in the magic of special days. They anticipated birthdays. They decorated for holidays. They marked anniversaries with care. But each time the moment arrived and delivered less than promised. Not because the day itself was bad, but because the emotional intensity they were told to expect never materialized. Or it did once, briefly, and then faded. They didn't stop celebrating out of resentment. They stopped because continuing required a level of self-deception they couldn't sustain. Pretending to feel something they didn't began to feel dishonest, exhausting, easier to let it go. These people carry a quiet disappointment, not with others, but with the entire premise. They learned that meaning doesn't arrive on command. That joy can't be scheduled. That emotional significance is either present or it isn't, and no amount of cake or confetti can manufacture it. Path 2. Symbolic rejection. Then there are those who never needed the symbolism. For them, emotional depth has always existed outside structure. They feel closest to people during unplanned moments, a spontaneous conversation at 2 a.m., laughter over something absurd, silence that doesn't need filling. These moments have weight because they're chosen, not obligated. Special days feel like obligation dressed as celebration. The expectation to feel something removes the possibility of feeling it authentically. When gratitude is required, it stops being gratitude. When joy is scheduled, it stops being joy. These people aren't rejecting connection, they're rejecting performance. The calendar tells them when to feel, and their emotional instincts resist the directive. Not out of stubbornness, but out of honesty. Both paths are valid. Neither is broken. Emotional duality. Here's the contradiction that confuses everyone. These same people who feel nothing on birthdays often feel everything in mundane moments. They're unmoved by New Year's Eve, but devastated by a single sentence in a book. They're neutral at their own graduation, but deeply affected by a stranger's kindness in a grocery store. They don't cry at weddings, but break down during a quiet drive home. Their emotional range isn't diminished. It's just redistributed. They're detached from ritual but attuned to sincerity, numb to performance but sensitive to authenticity. The moments that move them are the ones no one planned, no one announced, no one turned into an event. A friend showing up unasked, a conversation that turns unexpectedly honest, a gesture so small it would seem unremarkable to anyone else. This is what others miss. The absence of feeling on special days doesn't mean the absence of feeling altogether. It means their emotional responses operate outside the collective calendar. They're moved by substance, not symbol, by presence, not occasion. And this makes them difficult to understand, because the culture insists that certain days should matter universally, that everyone peaks emotionally at the same landmarks, that shared rituals create shared meaning. But for some people, meaning doesn't work that way. Society pushback. They say you're holding grudges, that you're punishing people by refusing to feel what's expected, that your neutrality is passive aggression, that you're withholding joy out of spite or pride or unresolved hurt. They insist you're missing out, that life's most beautiful moments are slipping past you, that one day you'll regret not appreciating these milestones while you had them. They tell you to loosen up, to let yourself feel, to stop overthinking and just enjoy the moment. As if enjoyment were a choice, as if emotional engagement could be willed into existence through better attitude or more effort. But you've tried that, you've shown up, you've smiled, you've participated, and beneath it all the flatness remained. Not because you're damaged, but because the premise itself doesn't resonate. The insistence that certain days carry inherent meaning feels like a language you were never taught to speak. And maybe that's okay. Reframing without validation. What looks like detachment might actually be discernment. The refusal to perform emotion where none exists isn't emptiness, it's honesty. The inability to manufacture excitement for scheduled celebrations isn't a deficit. It's clarity about where real connection lives. These people haven't lost the ability to feel. They've lost the ability to pretend. And in a world that rewards performance, that can look like pathology. But it's not. It's just selectivity. They've learned that emotional energy is finite, that forcing feeling where it doesn't naturally arise depletes something essential. That authenticity requires saying no to the moments that don't resonate, even when everyone insists they should. This doesn't make them cold. It makes them careful, protective of their emotional truth in a culture that constantly asks them to trade it for social cohesion. Embracing. So if you're someone who feels nothing on your birthday, or drifts through holidays in quiet observation, or watches others celebrate milestones with a kind of distant curiosity, this isn't a flaw in your design. You're not broken because you don't peak when the calendar tells you to. You're not missing out because your emotional depth lives in places others don't recognize. You're not cold because you refuse to perform warmth on command. You just operate differently. You feel differently. And that difference doesn't need correction. The world will keep insisting that certain days matter. People will keep expecting you to match their energy, their gratitude, their joy. And you'll keep falling short of those expectations, not because you're incapable, but because the expectations themselves were never designed for you. That's not failure. That's just truth. And maybe the quietest form of self-respect is letting that truth exist without apology.